Why is Boeing, why did we order two 747s in 2018, and now Boeing is saying they could come at 2028, which is a 10-year period, two planes, but it may not be out until 2035 or 36. How is that possible? How is that possible? I'll tell you how. They have forgotten who they are. That's all that is required. You know, and I don't think the workers have, because my family, much of my family worked at Boeing, still does. They're working every day at Boeing, and they love Boeing. They don't like what it's become because they know what it used to be like because of their parents or our grandparents. And they know what Boeing is capable of. The reason why it takes this from Boeing, and we're accepting it, is because all of us have become like this. We have become a society where no one says, yes, we can. We can do that. Yes, we can. Nobody says that, except if it's used by a politician to use as a slogan to promote dependency on a government, because what they're really selling you is, no, you really can't. But with the government, you can. That is not America. It's not America. We have to remember who we are and what the secret is. And the secret is remembering the principles that got us here in the first place. And then saying, yeah, I can do that. I can do that. I can do anything. You've been convinced that you can't or you're not allowed to. What are you talking about? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Boeing, shame on you. Shame on you. Every employee should be going in and saying to the management, shame on you for shaming us. Shame on you. You become so much about, I don't even know what. The numbers, corruption, DEI. I don't even know what your problem is, Boeing. But it didn't start with the workers. It started in the home office. It starts on the floor where all the elites are gathering. You've made it about something else other than building airplanes. And, you know, people will think that they have no way to change things. Imagine what it was like in World War II. In World War II, you're just the head of a company and you can't turn things around. Okay. Yesterday, I bought something. I collect watches, and I traded almost all of them in for one watch because this watch is so important historically, and I'm wearing it today. I had horrible pain in my hands. I had a hard time moving them. I could barely work with them. I couldn't write or type or anything. I tried everything. Then I found Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free supplement developed by doctors, and it's safe to take daily. It made a real impact for me and so many others. Try their 3-week quick start now, $19.95 at relieffactor.com. And it's called the POW watch because it comes from POWs. Back in World War II, the president of Rolex didn't know what to do, didn't know how he could help. And he's reading about all the prisoners that are in POW camps in Germany. And he wants to do something. So he sends the head guy, the head POW, of the camp, like a box of watches. And it's like, you give them out to whoever you think deserves them or needs them, and and don't worry about paying us back. Well, he's doing it as a gift. But what happens? These are some of the first, like Daytonas. This is before the Daytona was ever made, the chronograph on the front. So the guy gets it, and he's like, wait a minute, now we have a precision way to time things. We can time the changing of the guards. We can time how long it takes for them to come around, and we can find the averages. We now know time because we have a precision timepiece. The guy at Rolex, he had no idea what he was doing. If you've ever watched the movie The Great Escape, that's a true story. We have many of the pieces over at the museum. We have a piece of the pedestal that the old Franklin stove sat on that they had to move as they were digging. We have a ton of the stuff that they used. But one of the most important things they used was a watch. Just like this one, a POW watch. There's only a handful of them left. Why are they important? Because it was the watch that helped them escape. Helped them escape. It didn't do the work for them. The first thing they had to remember is they're not POWs. They're not. They are British and American and French soldiers. And they are meant to be free, and they're meant to get out of there. Now, there were people who were like, no, let's not do that. It'll just cause so much trouble. Thank God, the most of them said, yes, we can. We're going to do it. Now, Boeing, let me just give you this stat. As you're sitting there thinking, we can't complete this airplane, Glenn. It's really complex. Let me just give you a couple of stats. There were 3 escapes. What were they? Tom, Dick, and Harry? I think that's what they were called. Yeah. 3 different escapes. Okay. Let me just give you the stats on one of them. They dug a 2 by 2 foot hole. I mean, this just gives me claustrophobia thinking about it. Ugh. They dug a 2 by 2 foot hole underneath the floorboards of one of the barracks. Mm-hmm. They had to hide all of that, and they dig a 2 by 2 foot hole. They first have to dig that 30 feet down. 2 by 2 foot hole, 30 feet down. Then, and by the way, they don't have shovels. They don't have any of that stuff. Okay, they're making whatever it is they use. Then, in that 2 by 2 foot hole, then they have to start digging 336 feet horizontally so they can get out from under the wire and arrive at the other side. Okay, 336, 2 by 2. Just think about removing the dirt. How do they remove that much dirt without getting caught? And it might be easier when you're pushing dirt up from the hole for the first 30 feet. But what happens when you're going 336 feet horizontally? How do you get that dirt out? They had to design almost a train track that was bringing that dirt out. For every inch they did, every inch of dirt had to be removed. And they couldn't just take it out in, wheelbarrows and dump it someplace. How could they move that much dirt without anyone knowing that they were removing that much dirt? They devised a system in their pants to where each of them could put a little bit of dirt in their pants. And then when they got out to the yard and they would walk around, they would slowly let that dirt fall onto their shoes and onto the ground as they walked. And then they just kind of kick it into place. Do you know how much dirt that was? And they never got caught? Shame on you, Boeing. You can't finish a couple of planes. Huh. You know how long it took them to do that? With no tools, no electricity, no lights, can't get caught, covering it all up. 10 months. 10 months. It's called The Great Escape.
That's a really cute, uplifting story. But did you know AI is going to be able to tell us what our pets are saying?
Okay. All right. I want you to know that what Sarah says is right. Nobody's ever come back from this. But no one had ever escaped from Stalag 13. No one had ever done it. No one had ever crossed the Rocky Mountains. Nobody had ever gone to space. No one had ever gone to the moon. We are a nation of, that's never been done before. That's what we do. That's who we are. Europe, that's not you. But that is us. Because every single one of us, someplace in our family history, somebody, if you've been here, prior to maybe 1920, If your family was here prior to 1920, you came over on a boat. Do you know what that was like? I don't want to go on a boat back then, especially if I was, in the chattel class. My family, they came over here in the 1800s, and I can guarantee you none of them were up on the top deck of the boat. They were all down, shoveling poop out the window. I don't know what they were doing, but it wasn't pretty. And now I'm going to piss this away when they worked so hard to get us here to have these. See, that again is the problem. Once you forget why people came here in the first place, once you forget and are told, no, you can't. You can't. Yes, you can if the government will help you, but you can't do it on your own. Once you're taught that and you forget who you actually are, this is why family heritage is so important. Read about your family. Figure out who your family is. Do your family tree. There's somebody in there. In my family, when I got my family tree back, this is what the person said to me. I would like to tell you that there's somebody famous or great in your family, but we went back generations. It's littered with nobodies. However, I found 2 heroes in my family. 2. And they're not heroes by anybody else's standard, but they are mine. I had a great-great-grandfather and a great-great-uncle that fought in the Civil War, and they were on the right side. Now, because they're my relation, they were caught like the first week. And they were put into Andersonville, the worst, most notorious. I mean, you want to talk about Auschwitz? That was Auschwitz of the South. They were put there where thousands of people died. It was horrific. One of them died. The other one survived, and according to his wife, was never the same from it. I can imagine. But they fought on the right side, and one of them survived. And nobody survived Andersonville. But he did. You have to find your strength someplace. You have to find who you really are. You have to find, and you'll find it usually when you find God, who you really are and the strength that you actually have inside of you. And then if you happen to be part of a group, Boeing, you need to look at each other and go, come on, man, is this us? For the love of Pete, maybe it's because I grew up in Seattle. You're Boeing. You're Boeing. That's what you want the world to think of you? Boeing used to lead the way. You're either going to lead the way or get the hell out of the way. Give us our money back for those planes, and we'll find some company that will build them here in America. What are you doing? Either do it right or get out of the way. That's the message that should be heard from Boeing employees to their bosses. Like now.